Hello students, welcome back to the strategic management class. Till now we discussed so many strategies for the expansion of the companies in order to derive the set objectives and as well as the profits, revenues, growth, whatever may be. Today we are going to discuss about the concentric diversification. What do you mean concentric diversification? Concentric diversification is a type of horizontal diversification, involves introducing new products or services to one's products or service line that are closely related to existing products or services. So for this, the best examples are nothing but the two electronic giants like Apple and Samsung. So under concentric diversification, what happens to the already existed markets, to the already existing base of the customers, new more set of products will be released. So by that, what will be there? One can see the expansion of their product line. I mean to say here, from these companies one can find, along with the old kind of products, old models, a new version of products also are going to be available for the purpose of the customers. Either way, expanding market share within the market where company already operates in. The main reason behind adopting this concentric kind of diversification, nothing but the companies wants to expand their market share. So where actually the company was already existed before. So not only that, the concentric diversification leads to leverage existing brand recognition, customer base and loyalty, resources and distribution channels. With the same kind of facilities, the increase in the sales of the newly introduced products can be possible because of the concentric diversification. I mean to say here, with the same kind of customer base, loyalty, resources and distribution channels, the newly introduced products or services sales would be increasing. The best examples are nothing but Apple and Samsung companies, which are considered as the joints as far as the electronic equipments or electronic products are concerned. The next one is the conglomerate diversification. So which is also a type of horizontal diversification. So a conglomerate diversification strategy means to introduce brand new products or services that have no relation to one's business's current product offering. Therefore, entering a completely new market and appealing to customers that may have had zero interest in one's business previously. So under conglomerate diversification, what happens? Altogether, your new set of products or services will be released into the new markets. Let us suppose that the Maruti Suzuki cars are there. If the sales of the cars are not that much encourage you, then they can introduce altogether a new model cars into a different variety kinds of markets. So by that, what happens? The customers once again start to looking at the Maruti Suzuki cars. So either way, attracting the customers who are unaware of, who are not shown interest about their products is possible because of what you call the conglomerate diversification. The benefits of conglomerate diversifications are high return on investment, high growth due to the addition of entirely new revenue stream in a totally separate market. So what do you mean by this here? So when you are going for conglomerate diversification, you are going to attract the new base of customers, the customers who are earlier not shown any kind of interest towards your products, or else the customers who wants to have variety kinds of services or products can look into your products. So by that, what is going to be benefited? The return on investment is going to be increased. The growth of the company is also possible. Best examples are a clothing company branching out into a toys company. So clothing business, manufacturing toys, both are unrelated business. But still venturing into toys making, though being the cloth company which is going to increase the customers base. I mean to say venturing into variety kind of operation. So once you call this one as the conglomerate diversification. The next one is a defensive diversification. Defensive in the sense protection. So generally the defensive kind of diversification implemented by those companies which are old enough, whose products base are going to be slowly started exquisting from the market, and the products are going to lose sheen in the markets. Understand? So in order to protect their sales, their revenues, the defensive kind of diversification is possible. So defensive and offensive diversification are terms that have more to do with why a company wants to diversify rather than how. So next we are going to discuss about the offensive kind of strategies. So defensive diversification refers to companies who diversify in order to remain competitive as their market segment has become saturated, their existing products have matured and are in decline, or they are losing out to their competitors. So slowly what will be happening when a company starts for applying defensive diversification? The company's position will be saturated and their existing products have matured or in decline stage. So the word defensive suggests strategy is a response to losing profits and market share and an effort to defend its status and position. The companies who have become weak in the market, generally they go for application of the defensive diversification. To this defensive diversification, quite opposite approach is nothing but the offensive diversification, where the company is going to be more active. So without giving any chance to the competitors, these kinds of companies will have more strategical approach. Such a kind of approach is known as an offensive kind of approach. Let us see what offensive kind of approach. So under offensive kind of approach, or as offensive diversification, occurs when a company is aggressively seeking to grow its profits and market share through diversifying its product or services line in order to enter new markets and capture more customers at any cost. By competing with the customers, by winning over with the what you call the competitive companies, few companies will be applying this offensive kind of diversification strategies. While defensive diversification is a means to stay in business, offensive diversification is a means for successful, thriving company to grow even further. So generally, how do you compare defensive and offensive diversification means? So defensive diversification generally applies by the companies when its position is not strong in the market in order to save its existence, whereas offensive diversification kind of strategy is being implied by the companies when they want to have more growth. Okay. So what are the diversification uses? So by giving variety kinds of services, different kinds of products in various manners, what to call, these are all known as a diversification. So diversification allows the business to significantly increase their revenue by leveraging their existing resources, brand recognition, customer base. So without much more effort, with all already existing resources, there could be a possibility to develop in the business means the best strategy is nothing but the diversification strategies. So, which are going to useful to increase their revenues. Business is going to be increased by using what existing resources, existing human resources, existing financial resources, existing distribution channels, or else with the already available customer base. Diversifying business rather than investing in a single product or market lowers companies' risks. If any company invests only in single product development or single market, there will be a huge chance of getting losses. If the company adopts diversification strategy means they are going to invest into diversified areas. A drugs manufacturing company can venture into a what to call the medical equipment manufacturing, and as well as establishment of what to call the hospitals. You are finding in terms of Apollo hospitals are concerned. So because of this diversification, what happens? The risk factor will be mitigated. Diversification allows to remain profitable during industry ups and downs. As a society, the economy and consumerism fluctuate. So market means it's purely uncertain. So nobody knows what kind of situation exists in the future. That means if at all uneven things, ups and downs happens to the growth of the companies because of the diversification of the businesses, those shocks will be absorbed by these diversification strategies. That's why the more suggestible strategy for the company's long existence is nothing but the diversification strategies. The diversification allows to maximize company's current resource, which may be underutilized. Sometimes, though highly skillful human resources would be there, the company will be operating from a very good business center. The company may be having a good positions in a very well-known market. So these opportunities sometimes may be underutilized because of various unknown reasons. These lacunas will be fulfilled by going for diversification. So these are all called few of the advantages of what we call going for a diversification implementation. The next kind of strategy nothing but the outsourcing strategies. What is the one more name for outsourcing? Contracting out. You will be observing the outsourcing kind of strategies most of the time in IT companies. The main reason for going for outsourcing will be the space constraints, funds availability constraints, the constraints about human resources availability. Then what happens? The few companies wants to have more presence, effective presence in the market with the less effort means few kinds of activities will be outsourced to other established companies, other private parties, so that within the same time the benefits are going to be shared. Such a kind of activity is known as what we call the outsourcing. So let us see here, outsourcing is a strategic decision by a company to reduce costs and increase efficiency by hiring another individual or a company to perform tasks, or else provide services, handle operations that were previously done by employees within the company. In other words, outsourcing is the practice of getting certain job functions done outside a company. So let us suppose that a manufacturing company is there which produces a two-wheelers. So tires would be there, electronic fittings are required, other components of what you call the vehicle are required. All of them cannot be manufactured under a single roof. It is going to increase the cost. Then few of the products manufacturing will be given to the proven companies, like batteries will be given to what you call Maharaja, other what you called few existing companies. Such a way what happens, the pressure on the what you call the company will be going to decreased. So let us hear what are the things which can be outsourced. So these are the things generally outsourced by the companies. Okay. Like content writing. So generally this is a new kind of activity. In present millennial people like you all very often will be hearing about this. So content writing means writing what to call information about a company, development of the blogs, understand? So providing information. So these kinds of activities will be outsourced for a expert. The customer support services, like explaining about the newly arrived products, helping to the customers in need of what you called problems, especially related to products or services. What you call these are all, you call them as customer support services. These kinds of services will be outsourced, like marketing, supply chain management operations, HRM, human resource management, accounting, engineering, research and design, computer programming services, tax compliance, finance, training, administration. So these are the few areas generally the companies prefer to outsource. So within the single roof, within the same company, most of the times taking care of these activities also leads to more expenditure. Hence the companies prefer to go for a outsource of these operations or activities. So what are the main reasons for outsourcing? It's nothing but to save on valuable resources. So what are those? Let us see here. The most common reason to outsource include reducing operating labor and overhead costs. So by outsourcing few of the operations, there will be lot more saving on the labor, overhead costs, and as well as wastage cost. Focusing more on the company's core competencies and thus improving competitive advantage by outsourcing time consuming process to external companies. Few kind of time consuming processes would be there. So by outsourcing those operations activities to outsider, huge save would be there as far as time constraints are concerned, freeing up internal resources and using the resources for other purposes. So by outsourcing few of the operations, the internal pressure will be reduced. So by that, the internal resources will be utilized on any other valuable operations. So mitigating risk by sharing risk with external parties and building meaningful partnerships. Through the outsourcing sometimes leads to development of the mutual benefit also. So improving flexibility and efficiency by delegating responsibilities that are difficult to manage and control to external companies. So these are the few exclusive advantages as far as outsourcing is concerned. So most of the companies now adopting these strategies. So what you can outsource, anything which you feel it's not possible under the same roof to take up, or else to what you call give the same kind of services. through the outsourcing, disadvantages also exist. Let us see what are these. The risk of losing sensitive data and loss of confidentiality by outsourcing activities or process to external parties. This is a very, very considerable disadvantage. So when you are hiring outsiders to take up your activities means there is a possibility of leakage of the business secrets, information to the competitors. So by that, sometimes it is going to impact the growth of the company, future of the company. So one needs to be very, very careful while hiring the outsourcing parties, and preliminary check is required as far as the genuinity of the parties are concerned. Loss of management control and the inability to control operations of activities or processes that are outsourced. So because of giving outsourcing purpose few activities, the management lose its control. So by that what happens, sometimes it leads to unexpected results. Outsourcing companies may impose hidden or unexpected costs by creating lengthy contractual agreements with lots of fine print. Sometimes outsourcing activities leads to more expenditure. So lack of quality control, as outsourcing companies are often profit driven rather than focus on doing a good job. So most of the time the outsourcing companies will be a profit motto. Hence what happens, expecting a desired level of quality in terms of outsourced jobs, works concern, it's going to be very difficult. So after discussing various kinds of strategies, now we are going to discuss a very, very important concept, what we call this one as the mergers and acquisitions, M&A. This is again a very, very important strategical tool in order to safeguard the future of the companies. So what do you know merger and what do you know acquisitions? Every day you will be observing so many companies are going for mergers or acquisitions. So what do you mean by merger? And when a merger kind of activity is required? Again, what do you mean by acquisitions? What are the differences? So these things now we are going to discuss. Let us see here. So amalgamation of two entities to form into a single entity is called as a merger. So generally in mergers what happens, two companies are going to be merged, combined together to form into a one more new company. Understand? So because of what we call various reasons, so because of what we call sharing the available resources with each other, isn't it? So generally what is a merger? A merger is nothing but amalgamation of two entities to form into a single entity. A merger is a fusion of two or more entities, and it is a process in which the identity of one or more entities is lost. So generally whenever mergers are going to take place, the companies are going to lose their older identity because a new unexpected company is going to come up. So mergers are generally useful for greater efficiencies of scale and productivity. So mergers are useful, stronger competitive advantages. The companies lose their independent identities. The partnering companies are dissolved. So private companies, public companies, partnership companies, everywhere these merger kind of operations one can have. See here the list of what you call mergers happen in India among a few well-known companies like Indus Towers merged Bharati Infratel. So when it was taken place in the year 2020, the National Institute of Miners Health merged with the ICMR, National Institute of Occupational Health, in the year 2019. Same way, India Bulls Housing Finance Limited, India Bulls Commercial Credit Limited merged with Lakshmi Vilas Bank Limited. Bank of Baroda merged with Vijaya Bank and Dena Bank. Indusland with Bharat Financial, NBFC with IDFC, Vodafone India, Idea Cellular, Tata Steel, Thyssen, Kerup, and Housing.com, PropTiger.com, State Bank of India, so Bharatiya Mahila Bank, SB of Baikonur, Jaipur, SB of Patiala, SB of Travancore, Flipkart, eBay, India. So these are well-known examples for the mergers. So in the mergers, what happens? The companies will be merged together. Any one company is going to be exist with the brand, with the identity, and altogether a new company also will be created. The main purpose of merger is nothing but to share mutually the available resources. Now, after understanding what do we mean by merger and what are the examples for the merger, and now we'll discuss what are the different types of the mergers. Like horizontal merger is there, vertical merger is there, co-generic merger is there, conglomerate merger is there. So horizontal merger is nothing but between two companies that compete in the same industry segment. So same companies are merged together will be called as horizontal merger. Like all pharmaceutical companies, all entertainment related kind of companies, isn't it? Merging together. Vertical merger. So under vertical merger, in which two or more companies in the same industry but different fields combine in the business. So what to call this? Vertical kind of merger. Co-generic merger is a kind in which two or more companies in association are somewhere other way related to their production process, business markets, or basic required technologies. So under co-merger, co-generic merger, only few of the aspects of the companies will be merged, like production processes, business markets, or basic required technologies. The next one is conglomerate merger. So under conglomerate kind of merge, the companies of different industrial sectors combine together to form into a single company. So what to call this? A conglomerate merger. Okay. So in the next class, we go for acquisitions. So today what we discussed, variety types of what we called mergers, like conglomerate, different industrial backdrop companies merging together. Co-generic means partially in few kind of operations merging or fusing or combining of the companies will be taking place. So next, vertical integration. Same industry but different fields combination will be taking place. So merging of the two companies of the same industry is known as a horizontal merger. So we discussed disadvantages of the outsourcing, reasons, common types of works generally outsourced, uses of diversification, offensive diversification, defensive diversification, conglomerate diversification, concentric diversification. So in the next class, we discuss about acquisitions. So mergers and acquisitions.